A few months ago I made a video where I went out and shot an image on 35mm colour slide film and made a very large print. And it was an interesting exercise. The print looked pretty good at normal viewing distances, but I think I remarked at the time that it could probably be improved by shooting with prime lenses. And also it was worthwhile trying it with black and white film so I can control the whole process myself. Anyway, I went out recently and I did a video. I've also shot some micro four thirds on the same video, but this one's going to concentrate on the black and white 35mm film image. So I took a very basic 35mm camera, a couple of prime lenses and a very simple zoom lens. The idea being I'm going to make an enlargement, pretty big enlargement off a single 35mm negative. So let's go and look at the video of the trip, come back, have a look at some of the images on the screen and then make some prints. Okay, well, this is me out at the location I'm shooting this morning. It's just Llandudno Pier, North Wales coast. Now you may have seen an earlier video of mine where I shot some micro four thirds images from here, because that was taken first thing this morning about 20 minutes ago. Switching over now to the black and white for this particular part, and I'm shooting with an old Nikon FG, about 1984 I think these came out, and a standard 50mm prime, an f1.8, manual focus, very straightforward. Cost of the outfit probably about £100 these days, very simple to use, and I have the black and white Fuji Acros film loaded, so gonna get cracking now and make a few shots. Well, it's only half an hour past sunrise and the best light's already gone. I mean, the sun has dipped now behind a heavy bank of cloud. It's actually very nice because it's lowered the contrast and it's made the shooting a little bit easier. I did have a graduated filter on for a few shots just to see if it was any better than taming the sky later. You know, it's just going to give me a bit more to play with in those highlight values. But yeah, I think I've pretty much got what I came for. So let's just have a quick look at what I've been shooting with today and how I've been shooting with it before we head off, get them developed and get them scanned into Lightroom. Okay, so predominantly I've used my 50mm Nikkor lens. I got this in 1986, it's very sharp, manual focus, really compact, and I've been shooting it primarily at f5.6 because that's going to be about the sharpest aperture. Taking a few at f8 as well, just in case there's a subtle difference there, but ideally you want to be keeping your apertures fairly large to avoid diffraction. Now with this being an f1.8 lens, f5.6, you know, you've got 3 stops down, absolutely bang on in the middle of its sharpest range. And also with the subject matter being fairly distant, the pier, I just whacked it to infinity. I don't need to worry about depth of field at all. Now, in addition to taking the shots with the standard lens, I've also used my 28mm Nikkor. This is a 3.5, so a bit slower, but for landscape work, makes no difference. And it's a very sharp 28mm. Not all wide angles of this era were sharp, this one is. If it comes out to be a good image, I may print it, may not, though I'm really going for that tighter crop, just for comparison's sake. And finally, one of my favourite lenses is this little 70 to 150 Chiron. Now this is extremely well built lens. It's beautiful action focus and zoom, super well damped. It's a lovely focal range as well. It's only a 2x zoom, so the quality's excellent. I've taken 1 or 2 with it, one at the 70mm end and one at the 150 end, just to see how good they come out. It's never going to be absolutely up there with a top-notch prime, but it's pretty close because the design's so simple. And it's absolutely tiny. I mean, that's a 28mm and that's a 70 to 150 zoom, and there's not much difference in weight, so you could carry that all day long. Yes, so I've nearly finished my roll of Acros. The sun has not set, it's dipped, it's gone away. So I'll pack up now and I shall head back. And as I said, I will develop these films. I'll decide what developer when I get back. And let's get them scanned, because the whole point of this vlog is to look at the quality you can achieve with 35mm black and white film when shooting primes. It's not going to be as if you're shooting with some super high-res document film with some esoteric developer. This is sort of normal stuff, you know, £100 outfit, 100 ASA standard type film, anyone can do this. So yeah, let's finish up here, get back and get the developing done. Right, so that's the shooting part done. I've also developed the films and I've got them scanned into Lightroom. Have a quick look at them in Lightroom now and talk through them. Now this is the basic image. This is the original frame I've chosen. You can see some of the other ones here. Different angles, different lenses, different crops, etc. But I have gone for one taken with the 50mm lens at its optimum aperture, about f5.6 as I said on the video. And this is the resultant scan on my Minolta. This is a very high quality scanner. It gets a lot of detail out the image. You can zoom in here. Looks a little bit soft to the eye, but that's because it hasn't been sharpened or processed yet. And also it is quite a decent size enlargement. That would make a very big print because the dimensions are quite large. Now, rather than go through all the painful details of how I process this image, which could take some time, it'd just be probably easier if I bring up the final image, which I'm going to print, and put it next to it so we can see the two side by side. Okay, so here's the original image on the left and here's my processed image on the right. Now this image has been resized for my Epson printer. Now my Epson printer has a print resolution of around about 360 dots per inch. So I need to make a very large print size, a very large enlargement within Photoshop. So I enlarged that to 12,960 pixels on the horizontal, which will give me enough for a 36-inch print on my Epson 3880, which I have behind me there. Now that Epson is a very good printer and it's got extremely good black and white capabilities too. I've added a bit of tone to this print because I do like my black and whites to exhibit a bit of tone. It gives a bit of separation to the highlights and shadows. So if we have just a look at the enlargement itself now this has been through a number of processing steps, not only in Lightroom but also in Photoshop, and one of them is to use an output sharpener, which is the Nic Output Sharpener. Now I use this for all my printing. I found the default settings are excellent. Now looking at this on screen, you probably will be horrified to see how grainy it is, how much noise is in there, and it doesn't look particularly good at this enlargement, but that's not a print. The print won't show all these defects. It'll be a lot better than this. Sure, it'll show grain, but that's the whole point of a film image for me. I want a bit of character in there. If I want smooth and noiseless, I'll shoot digital. You can see the Micro Four Thirds printing video I did from this trip if you want to see how clean an image can look. But I'm very pleased with how this looks. I'm just looking at the pier structure itself here and it looks very good. I know it'll make a very good print. And don't forget, this is just 36mm wide print. It's a very, very small negative. Very, very tiny compared to some of the larger formats I shoot. So I'll send this off to the printer in various sizes and we'll have a look at how it comes out. Right then, starting with the smallest print I would typically make. This is an A4 print. Now this is going to look fine, as I said before, on just about any device. You know, your camera phone, whatever, is going to make a fantastic A4, so we won't really dwell on that size at all. The size I'm really interested in getting up to is A2 because this is the size where it starts to make a nice print for the wall, you know, decent border, decent frame. Now this is the A2 size print. Now the A2 size print looks good to me from viewing distances. Now as you get closer you will see a very, very heavy grain and you'll see a sort of general film type look to the image obviously. Now some people don't like that, some people prefer a clean image. I don't mind grain. I want sharpness though, I don't want it to be soft. Now this image looks pretty good to me at normal viewing distances, but what if you want to go bigger? And that's what I always like to show on these videos, is a decent size enlargement. So here's the what I would call decent poster print size, if you can see all that. Now this is equivalent to about a sort of A1 size print. We're talking 36 inches horizontally. Now I have to sharpen this a bit more than I would normally, so I can show you how good the detail is from these cameras and lenses. There's plenty of grain in there, as you can probably see now. There's plenty of mood and atmosphere in there, but it's still a very good print, and it looks good from typical viewing distances, and that's what matters to me. I'm not looking to make a super clean image. As I said before, digital will do that perfectly for you. Now, I've done other prints in the past from 35mm film. Other types of images which may suit this are maybe a more graphic image, such as this one. I did this one in the States a few years ago, and this was taken with a very cheap camera and lens combination and some 400 speed film. But the graphic nature of the image really suits film and black and white. This is incredibly sharp, so much detail in here, and because there's an awful lot of white background and very little of the midtones, you don't see any grain and noise, so it looks very impressive. You know, you wouldn't even know particularly that had come from a film shot. And another one, this was taken with Portra 400. Now Portra 400 is a notoriously soft film. It has lovely pastel colours, and that suited this scene perfectly, this architectural image. It's come out just the way I'd want it to, and I shot digital on the same day as this, and I just didn't like the images. I love the blues and I love the stonework in here. Now this was taken with a 28mm prime lens, and I absolutely love it. It takes lots of sharpening. At A2 it's fine. It would easily go bigger. Fantastic. So yes, what's the upshot of all this? Well, the upshot is I'm quite happy to shoot large poster print size images with 35mm cameras, and very basic 35mm cameras too. I don't think you need anything particularly fancy. You can shoot with slow speed films like the Fuji Acros I was using, or you could potentially use a faster film like HP5 Plus to get more grain, more noise, more atmosphere, which is what I like also. But the thing is, don't be put off by the size of the film. If you haven't got a medium or large format camera and you think, oh, I can't make large images, that's not true. As I think I've shown here, I don't know what it looks like on the video, but to me it looks like a very good image. I'm very pleased with the resolution, the clarity, and yes, there is grain and noise in there, but that's film. That's why I shoot film. I don't shoot it to be clean and tidy. So yes, thank you, Cleo. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed making it as ever. Probably more to follow in this vein, but do enjoy playing about with the equipment and the technology and film in particular. So thanks very much for watching as ever, and I'll see you again on the next trip.